Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're strapping in for a jump into the Star Wars expanded universe.
The expanded universe, huh?
You got it. We got a whole pile of articles and summaries on Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn.
Oh, yeah. Heir to the Empire. A
Yeah,
classic.
yeah, the one that really got the fandom going again. So we know you're ready to explore this one.
Definitely. This book is really something. It picks up 5 years after Return of the Jedi,
Okay, 5 years later.
and it just expands the galaxy in ways I don't think even George Lucas had thought of at that point.
Wow. So new characters, political intrigue,
Yeah.
military strategy. Sounds like this book has it all.
It does. It really does.
But let's set the stage first. 5 years after the Empire falls, is the galaxy finally at peace?
I wish. Not exactly.
Oh no.
The New Republic, they're facing some big challenges.
Like what?
Well, you've got power struggles inside the new government itself.
Makes sense. New government, gotta figure it out.
Exactly. And then there's remnants of the old empire still causing trouble.
Those holdouts never go away easy.
Nope, not at all. It's not the peaceful utopia everyone was hoping for after the war, that's for sure.
So even though the Death Star's gone, Emperor's defeated, the galaxy's still not at a happy ending.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And our heroes, they're right in the middle of it all.
Of course they are. Always gotta be saving the day. So what are they up to?
Well, Luke's wrestling with this huge task, rebuilding the Jedi Order.
Yeah, not a small job. Where do you even start with that after, well, everything?
Right, and then Leia's trying to figure out, galactic politics. It's a whole other beast.
I bet. And probably dealing with some difficult personalities, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like Borsk Filia.
Borsfelia. Never a fan favorite, was he?
Not really, no. Very stubborn. But then you also have to remember Leia's also pregnant.
Oh, yeah, right. With twins, even.
Twins, yep.
Wow, okay. So there are two new Skywalkers about to enter the galaxy. This is getting interesting.
It is.
So we've got a new government trying to find its feet, iconic heroes with their own challenges. And somewhere, Han Solo's probably doing something reckless.
Uh-huh, probably. Han's definitely not one to relax. He's trying to, be a good husband, a good father.
Husband and father, that's new for him.
Right. But he's also a general in the New Republic military. Lot on his plate.
He sounds like things are pretty chaotic even without the Empire around.
Yeah, it's a lot. But this is Star Wars, right?
It is. So there's got to be a new threat coming.
Always. And this time, it's Grand Admiral Thrawn. Brilliant, but ruthless.
Grand Admiral Thrawn, I've heard he's like one of the most cunning villains in Star Wars.
Oh, for sure.
What makes him so different from, say, Palpatine or Vader?
Well, Thrawn, he's a strategic mastermind.
Yeah.
Military genius, operates on a whole other level.
Okay, so he's smart. We get it.
But get this, he was actually exiled from the Empire before its fall.
Exiled? Why?
His methods, they were considered too extreme, even for the Empire.
So even the Empire thought he was a bit much. Wow.
Exactly. But those methods, that's what makes him so dangerous to the New Republic.
Yeah.
Ambitious, driven, and absolutely wants to restore the Empire to his former glory.
Okay, so he's clearly a threat. But what makes him tick? What's his endgame?
Well, see, what sets Thrawn apart is his approach to warfare. He's not just about brute force.
There's more to it then.
Definitely.
Mm.
He believes to truly defeat an enemy, you have to understand them. And he does this by studying their art and culture.
Wait, so he's not just a military strategist, he's an art critic too.
You could say that. Thrawn believes a civilization's art reveals their psychology, their values, even their weaknesses.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he uses this knowledge to predict what his enemies will do, exploit their vulnerabilities.
That's pretty wild. It's like he's playing 4D chess while everyone else is doing checkers.
Right, like in one scene, he's looking at these sculptures from an alien culture, and by analyzing the style, the materials...
He's really breaking it down.
Oh yeah, the symbolism, everything. And from that, he figures out their whole military strategy.
No.
Yep. He realizes this culture, they value defense above all else.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly what they'll do on the battlefield.
So he's literally using art appreciation as a weapon.
Pretty much. And the New Republic, they're up against this guy.
This is intense. So we've got this brilliant, art-obsessed villain on the rise, a new government barely holding on, and our iconic heroes facing their own personal and political turmoil.
It pretty much sums it up.
This is shaping up to be an epic showdown. But where does Luke's Jedi training and Leia's pregnancy fit into all of this?
Well, Luke, he senses Leia's force sensitivity, right?
Yeah.
And he knows she could be powerful. So even with her busy schedule, he starts training her.
Right. She is a Skywalker. So while managing a new galactic government and carrying twins, she's also learning to, like, move objects with her mind and wield a lightsaber.
Like about multitasking. But their training gets interrupted.
Oh no, what now?
A dark Jedi named Joris Seabath shows up.
A dark Jedi? That can't be good. What's his story?
Seabath. He's powerful, but unstable. He's actually a clone created by the Empire of a Jedi Master from centuries ago.
A clone. Okay, so the Empire was busy even before the prequels.
Oh yeah, tons of stuff going on. But Seabath, he's got his own agenda. He wants to take Luke and Leia as his apprentices. Thinks he can use their power.
That sounds like a force-wielding kidnapping. So not only are they dealing with Thrawn's crazy strategies, but also a power-hungry dark Jedi.
Pretty much.
The galaxy is in serious trouble. This book is already throwing a lot at us, and you know I love it. But there's more, right?
Oh, there's more. Zahn introduces some really interesting new characters that just add to this whole complex story. Like Mara Jade. She was an assassin who served the Emperor.
Hold on, she worked for the Emperor, so she's like a reformed villain.
Exactly. Her path is one of the most interesting parts of the book, for sure. And then there's Gilad Pellaeon, Thrawn's right-hand man. Really skilled officer, but more humane than Thrawn.
So there's some tension there. Okay, so we've got epic space battles, complex politics, a dark Jedi lurking around, and this cast of characters with their own secrets and motivations. This is going to be a wild ride. But before we get too deep into the plot, I want to hear more about these new characters. What makes them so compelling? Why should we care?
Welcome back to the deep dive. When we left off, things weren't looking so good for the New Republic. Grand Admiral Thrawn, he's a real problem.
And not just a strategic genius, but remember, he uses art and culture to, like, predict his enemy's next moves.
Yeah, that's right. But there's another thing about Thrawn's strategy we need to talk about. Cloning.
Cloning? Like making copies of himself? That seems a bit much, even for Star Wars.
Not quite, no. It's this technology, Sparty cloning cylinders. He can create a whole army, super fast, loyal soldiers, big advantage over the New Republic.
So instead of stormtroopers, he's got his own clone army. That's pretty scary, actually. Those clones in the prequels, they were efficient.
Exactly. And remember, the Nogri, those fierce warriors, totally loyal to Vader.
Yeah, those guys were intense.
Thrawn, he uses this cloning tech to manipulate them even more. Like deepen their sense of duty, you know?
That's kind of messed up, isn't it? Exploiting their loyalty to Vader, who wasn't exactly known for being nice to his people.
It is, yeah. It shows how Thrawn uses everything, anything to get what he wants, even playing on those old loyalties. Kind of asymmetric warfare, you know?
So he's hitting them where they're weak, basically.
Yep, exactly.
And speaking of hitting, you mentioned those epic space battles. Does Zahn actually deliver on that? Because all this talk about art and cloning, it's making me want some good old-fashioned Star Wars action.
Oh, he does, definitely. The space battles in Heir to the Empire, some of the most exciting in the whole Star Wars universe.
Okay, good. Give me an example of what really stands out.
Well, the battle at Van. Those shipyards, remember?
Right. Thrawn needed those to build more ships, I think.
Exactly. And he comes up with this crazy plan, uses cloaked asteroids, sneaks his ships right past the New Republic defenses.
Cloaked asteroids. That's pretty smart. Like a submarine tactic, but in space. So does it work?
It's close. Real close. The battle, it's intense. Both sides lose a lot. You really see Thrawn's tactical mind at work, but
But what? Does he get the shipyards?
Han Solo, he figures out what's going on. Some quick thinking, daring maneuvers. He manages to push back the attack.
Classic Han. Saving the day. So Thrawn doesn't win this one.
Not this time. But even in defeat, he learns something, figures out the New Republic's defenses, their tactics. Every loss, it's a chance for him to get better.
That's what makes him so tough, right? He's always thinking, always learning, always a few steps ahead like a predator.
Exactly. And that feeling that Thrawn's always out there lurking, it just runs through the whole book. Keeps you on edge, wondering what he'll do next.
So while Thrawn's planning his next move, what are Luke and Leia up to? Are they just reacting to him, or are they taking the fight to him?
Well, Luke's training Leia, trying to teach her about the Force. But remember, Seabath, that dark Jedi, he's still a problem.
Yeah. Seabath gives me the creeps, honestly. Like a puppet master, but with the dark side. What does he want? Why is he so obsessed with Luke and Leia?
He's a product of the Empire's messed up experiments, basically.
Yeah.
This clone of a Jedi Master from centuries ago, created to be a weapon.
Right, a weapon.
But he wants power, wants to control the galaxy his way. And he thinks Luke and Leia are the key to that.
So he's using them to achieve his own goals, whatever those are.
Exactly. He thinks by taking them as apprentices, he could reshape the galaxy. It's kind of ironic because his obsession with control, it's almost like a twisted version of Luke's own desire to rebuild the Jedi Order.
Yeah, like a dark mirror of Luke's path.
Right, and Leia being pregnant, that makes her even more vulnerable. She's carrying the future of the Skywalkers,
Yeah.
dealing with this new government, and then there's a dark Jedi on top of it all.
A lot for one person to handle, that's for sure. And what about Han? He might not be a Jedi or a politician, but I can't imagine him just sitting around while all this is going down.
Oh, Han's definitely not sitting around. He plays a crucial role, even if it's not always front and center. He's still that hotshot pilot, the risk taker. The one who can pull off the impossible.
That's Han, all right. Always pushing the limits. But this time, it's not just about smuggling or a quick buck.
No, it's bigger than that. He's fighting for the New Republic, for his family. It's personal.
Definitely. So what does he do?
He leads a strike team, tries to take down Thrawn's cloning facility. Really dangerous mission. Needs all his skill, plus a little luck.
Classic Han, flying by the seat of his pants. But what about Mara Jade and Gilad Pellaeon? Those new characters, we were talking about them earlier, what happens to them as things heat up with Thrawn?
Well, Mara Jade's story, it's really fascinating. Being the Emperor's hand, that past still haunts her, but then she starts to connect with Luke. It challenges her loyalties, makes her confront some inner demons.
So she's trying to find redemption, break free from the dark side.
That's it, yeah. And Pellaeon, he starts to doubt Thrawn, sees how ruthless he can be.
Pellaeon always seems like a decent guy, even if he was on the wrong side.
Right. He's a man of honor, believes in duty, but he also has this moral compass.
Must be tough being under someone like Thrawn, so brilliant, but also capable of so much destruction.
Yeah, it is. He's caught between following orders and his own conscience. Adds a whole other layer to the story,
It does. This deep dive is getting more and more interesting. We've got this epic conflict, characters facing moral dilemmas, all this against a galaxy trying to find peace after a devastating war. But what I find really cool is how Zahn weaves in these character moments, Like amidst all the action, we see them grow, change. He makes us care about them, not just watch them blow things up.
That's one of the best things about Heir to the Empire. It's not just empty action. There's depth, These characters feel real. They struggle. They make choices. That's what sets it apart from a lot of other space operas. It's human, even though it's in a galaxy far, far away.
And the way he writes Thrawn, he's a villain, obviously, but he's also intelligent, cunning. I almost find myself rooting for him sometimes.
I know what you mean. Thrawn, he's not just evil. He's complex. He believes he's doing the right thing, even if his methods are brutal. That's what makes him so interesting, so memorable.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we've covered a lot here. Cloning, space battles, politics, art, even some philosophy. But the story isn't over yet. What are some of the big things we should look out for in the last part of our deep dive? What kind of ending are we in for?
Things are going to get even more intense as we head toward the climax. The fate of the New Republic, it's hanging by a thread. Luke and Seabath, their confrontation is coming to a head. And those cloning cylinders, remember?
Yeah, those things are a ticking time bomb.
Their location, it's finally revealed. The New Republic has to destroy them before Thrawn can unleash that clone army. It's a race against time.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Heir to the Empire. Last we left off, things were looking pretty dire for the New Republic.
Yeah, Thrawn was closing in, that clone army was almost ready, and Luke was about to face off with Seabath.
Right. Those Sparty cloning cylinders, they were a big problem. So what happens? Does the New Republic manage to stop them?
Well, they find out where the cylinders are. Big operation to try and destroy them before Thrawn can use them.
A race against time, huh? And knowing Thrawn, he probably has a backup plan, just in case.
Oh, you know Thrawn. Always thinking a few steps ahead. But while that's happening, Luke's confrontation with Seabath, it takes a turn.
How so? Luke's powerful, but Seabath, he's like a copy of a Jedi Master, right? That's a lot of experience.
It is, and Luke realizes fighting him head on, it won't work. Seabath's consumed by anger, this lust for power. Luke has to find a different way.
So it's not just about lightsaber skills, it's about reaching Seabath on another level.
Yeah, appealing to whatever good might be left in him. It's a real test for Luke, his compassion, his understanding of the Force.
Intense stuff. And what about Leia? She's leading a government, expecting twins, dealing with this dark Jedi threat. How does she even function?
Leia's a Skywalker, remember. She steps up big time, uses her political skills, her understanding of people, to rally allies to the New Republic.
Woo.
She even connects with the Nogri, secures their loyalty.
Wow, the Nogri, the guys who are totally devoted to Vader, that's some serious diplomacy.
It is. And Han, well, He's not going to sit around while all this goes down.
Never. What does Han get up to?
He leads this daring mission, tries to disable Thrawn's cloning facility.
Of course he does. Best pilot in the galaxy. Gotta put him to work.
Right. It's super dangerous, needs all his skills, and some luck, too.
Sounds like a classic Han Solo adventure. So, lots going on. What about Mara Jade, the former Emperor's hand? Where does she fit into all this?
Mara Jade, her role becomes really important in the climax. Her connection with Luke grows, and she has to make a choice. Show where her loyalty lies.
So after all that inner conflict, she picks the New Republic. Luke.
She does. And Pelion, Thrawn's right-hand man, he also has a big part to play. Seeing Thrawn's ruthlessness, it really challenges him. His sense of duty, his morality.
Yeah, Pelion always seemed like he had a conscience, struggling to follow orders that go against his beliefs.
Exactly, that conflict. Loyalty versus conscience. It makes him such an interesting character. Reminds us that even in war, even when following orders, people still have to make tough choices.
Okay, so we've got this ticking clone army, a showdown between Luke and C'baoth, Han Solo on a crazy mission, and the whole fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. Without spoiling anything, how does it all end? Does the New Republic survive? What about our heroes?
I can't give away all the details, but the final battle with Thrawn, it's epic. Spans multiple planets, space battles, lightsaber duels, even some betrayals that you won't see coming.
Betrayals! Come on, you gotta give us a little more than that. Guess I'll have to read the book to find out.
I don't want to spoil the surprises, but what I will say is the outcome is not guaranteed. New Republic, it could go either way. The choices these characters make, heroes and villains, they determine everything.
Okay, so we've talked about the plot, the characters, the action, all the twists and turns. But stepping back a bit, why is Heir to the Empire considered so important? Why did it have such a big impact on Star Wars?
Well, it wasn't just continuing the story after Return of the Jedi. It brought new life into Star Wars. Introduced characters and ideas that have become iconic.
Like Thrawn. He's become one of the most popular villains, even showing up in those animated shows and other books.
Exactly. His brilliance, his cunning, the way he approaches war, it just captured the imaginations of fans. Zahn did an amazing job creating such a memorable villain.
And the thing with Thrawn and art, that was really different. We hadn't seen that before in Star Wars villains.
Totally. And Heir to the Empire, it showed that there were so many more stories to tell in Star Wars. New places to explore, new characters to meet. It really opened things up.
It did. Showed that Star Wars could go beyond the original trilogy.
And it did all this while staying true to what people loved about Star Wars in the first place.
Yeah.
The action, the adventure, the Force, good versus evil. It found that balance, you know?
Yeah, familiarity and innovation. That's what makes it so special. Both a continuation of what we know and something completely new.
And it's not just the plot and characters. Zahn tackles these bigger themes too. Leadership, legacy, rebuilding after war. The choices we make when things are tough. Those ideas, they resonate with people, whether they're Star Wars fans or not.
It's a story about hope, about resilience, about never giving up, even when the odds are stacked against you. All wrapped up in this awesome space adventure. No wonder it's a classic.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Heir to the Empire. It shows the power of imagination, how a good writer can create a world that's both familiar and excitingly new. It's earned its place in Star Wars, and it keeps inspiring fans and creators.
Well, there you have it, our deep dive into Heir to the Empire, a book that brought the fandom back, changed Star Wars forever, and showed that the galaxy far, far away, it's full of stories just waiting to be told. If you haven't read it yet, you definitely should. You won't regret it.
And if you want to explore more of the expanded universe or learn more about Star Wars, check out our other deep dive episodes. We've got a whole galaxy of topics to uncover.
That's right. So until next time, may the Force be with you, and may your deep dives be filled with adventure, discovery, and a whole lot of, whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah.